Welcome to 5 Dubs by MDDC Press. I'm your host, Rebecca Snyder, the Executive Director of the Maryland, Delaware, and DC Press Association, which represents news media in our region. 5 Dubs focuses on the who, what, when, where, and why of local news media. We'll talk with the journalists about the stories behind the news. You can find more information about our guests in the show notes or on our website, www.5-dubs.com. Welcome. I'm here today with Kristi English, who is the Director of Marketing and Events for APG Media of Chesapeake. So welcome, Kristi.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Rebecca.
Glad to do it, especially because we're talking about best moves. So, excuse me. I didn't want to choke and die in our first time together. So the best moves category is something that MDDC in our contest highlights every year about the single best activity, program, or idea that members had. And so the Star Democrat this year did something really interesting. Can you tell us what your best move was?
Sure can. So the best move for the Star Democrat was our Women to Watch Summer Speaker Series. And for our Summer Speaker Series, we took our Women to Watch nominees and we made a panel event in every county on our midshore. So not only was it for our midshore paper, the Star Democrat, but it also reached out into a few of our other papers. And so with every panel, we had nominated women that we had from either the 2023 nomination list or prior. So this was our third year of doing the Women to Watch program. And so the panels were made up of women ranging from 2 to 5. And they had a specific overarching theme. It was Pivot, Conversations to Spark Change. And so under that theme, they spoke about life-changing, life-altering events in their personal and professional lives that made them into the community leaders that they are today. So as you can imagine, it was some really interesting, amazing, just awesome stories that came from the panelists, and then just bouncing ideas off of each other, like talking about how they come down from a big a work, I guess, just a challenge, and then how they can decompress. And there was just all kinds of interesting ideas that they brought to the panel and to each other. And then there was, of course, a time for question and answer so that members of the audience could interact.
That sounds like such a cool concept, because oftentimes there's speaker series that are all over the place, and they tend to be like one-way communication pieces. There are awards events that highlight individuals, but this seems like a really unique sort of mix in some ways, that it's almost a conversation, sort of like a group session about resilience and what it means to be either a community leader or to pivot from challenges and successes, which can bring their own associated challenges. So how was that received by the community or the audience? And tell me more about like the framework of what that audience looked like.
So we had to start it all off, where all of this came from. We had an event to reveal the publication that came with the Women to Watch nominees, and then we highlighted 16 of the nominees in our magazine. So we wanted to do something bigger for the ones being profiled and the nominees early last year. And so we had an event, and that did recognize the nominees, of course, and we had speakers, and it just was phenomenal. And so when we were at the event and talking with the nominees and the attendees, we realized just this yearning for more, and just more connection and networking, and And then a lot of people, they had read the stories of the ones profiled, but they didn't know why the other nominees were in there. And so
Sure.
we wanted to just give them more. And so it just came out of that event there, of developing this summer speaker series.
Hmm.
And it was a lot. I when
Well, that's a big project. I mean, you've got
right.
it's not just one county,
Right.
so
I
it's
know.
a bunch.
Yeah, so we started off with Kent County, and then we moved down to Dorchester, up to Caroline, Queen Anne's, and then the very last event was in Talbot County, and that's where the Star Democrat is. And that one, so we sort of felt like each event snowballed, off of each other, and definitely got the recognition, especially by the end. A lot of people were, oh, I've heard of this. Um, Two really cool things that we did at the event to draw people. We gave them a beach tote, which was also it was branded with the Summer Speaker Series logo. And then we also offered a headshot, and both of
Mhm.
those were recommended by attendees to that very first event. That how many times are you asked for a headshot? And oh boy, it's selfie
Right.
time.
Well,
So
we've all changed since the pandemic. I mean, like what was a
yeah.
fresh headshot in 2020 is not holding up right now.
So we thought, well, why not? We at the time we had a photographer on our marketing staff. So we just had her travel from event to event, and was able to offer that little bit of added value. So no matter why they came to the event, I know that they came away from hearing the panelists, and just I guess just having that sense of connection and networking that
Hmm.
and I heard this a few times that women need. And I thought, okay, that's really interesting. Like if we're fulfilling this need in the community and offering something different than say other, women's groups, and just adding something of value to their day, their week, it's yeah, it's a really good thing for us to be able to do.
So you're Women to Watch. So I understand the speaker series is an outgrowth to Women to
Right.
Watch, and actually behind you, I see you have pinned up. It looks
Mhm.
like the magazine there, which
Right.
is really
Yep.
cool.
Uh-huh.
So for um, so tell me more about Women to Watch and sort of how that came about. And I know the speaker series is a sort of
Yeah,
natural
yeah,
progression.
absolutely. So, 2024, it's our fourth year of offering or having the Women to Watch program. And so, from January 1st through 31st, we have a portal open on the stardem.com. So, our online newspaper site. And then on there, anybody can go on and nominate a woman in the community, and it's just name and position, company, and then reason why. So with those, and we have around 300 nominations every year, so there's quite a few. So we have an internal committee of APG members, and then we also have an external community committee um that of community leaders who go through the nominees and will pull out the ones that are of particular interest, maybe the known ones, and of interest to me are the not known ones, but are making such a huge impact, and maybe there's more than one nomination for these particular individuals. And so we pour over this list for for days and days, and pick out the ones that we feel like gives a good representation of our community, and
Hmm.
and what we're seeing out there. And so our editors, so this is really a full stardom team. Our editor team will reach out to the individuals that we have listed to profile, and then they will interview them, send them a Q&A, depending just on the level of profile, and then of course write them up and then we put them into the magazine that way. So
So it's about, I think you said earlier it was about 16 people,
we
16
we
women that you're
we
profiling in the magazine.
it does, yes, exactly. It does vary. We started off with 12 and it's slowly grown, year by year as we, like, oh, how about if we just have one more in there?
That's always the way.
I
Always the way.
know, I know, it's so great. So, our advertisers love this as well. I mean, so last year was the first time that we had sponsors at our event, obviously because it was our first event, and then so I believe we had 3 sponsors there, and this year it was 9 sponsors. So it's really grown, just as people hear about it, they want to be involved with it, and they know the audience that will be at these events, and they want to reach those people. So it's, yeah.
So is this more of a focus on the business community, or is this more of a community, like a community based event? I'm not.
Right. That is a really good question. I mean, it's the 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 women to watch profiles, they range from CEOs of companies to leaders of nonprofits to, moms that are really heavily involved in their kids schooling and different volunteer opportunities. So
Mhm.
we really try to get that wide range, where we try to highlight. So we're trying to highlight um, women in every county on the midshore, since this magazine is covering the entire midshore, and then as well as, trying to just get as diverse of a population as possible.
Sure. Now, could we take a step back, and I got so excited about Women to Watch that I want to take a step back and just contextualize the Star Democrat and APG Media of the
Sure.
Chesapeake for our listeners who might not be familiar with your
Absolutely.
organization. So tell us a little bit about the big picture.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So APG is over many different newspapers, and the Chesapeake region is just one of those. They also have newspapers in Florida, Ohio, Montana, across the U.S. And so the Chesapeake region is also broken down into the midshore, and we also have upper shore market, and then a Southern Maryland market as well.
Mhm.
So the Star Democrat is one of those on the midshore. So we have the Kent County News, the Times Record in Caroline County, and we have
Mhm.
the Times Record Observer, the Dorchester Star are also on the midshore as well.
I love how that really just brings, those are such distinct local communities, and every jurisdiction has a real diversity in the communities that make up the region, but I feel like the Eastern Shore is really rich in that way.
I think so
Um,
too. Yeah, yeah.
and so it sounds like this is a program and a publication that really does kind of reflect the diversity of the community, and it's obviously been growing. You've had it for 4 years, and now have blossomed the speaker series. Is there, what do you think it means to the community? What have you heard from participants or advertisers or even honorees about what the program does and means to
Right.
them?
Yeah, no, that is a really great question. I mean, from the so we just had our second reveal event last Wednesday. And so I'm, fresh off of it, and I can just tell you that the nominees are just floored when they hear that they are a woman to watch. It really means something to them. And to be honest, it should. I mean, even though I feel like everybody out there should be a woman to watch, we're not all nominated. And so the ones that are, should feel special, or that should feel privileged. So I know that there is a sense of pride with that. And then especially at this event, we really try to make it all about the ones nominated, and really make it special for them. Tonight where they can dress up, and it's at the Adelon Theater in Easton. So it's a nice fancy place, and
Hmm.
it's a fun evening all around. And then, as far as the advertisers, the sponsors, they like I said, they really like to be in front of this audience, because they are it's their business partners, their friends, it's members of the community that they want to be in front of. And so it's almost like that, the who's who, who are going to be at these events, whether it's the reveal event where we show everybody the magazine, or one of the summer speaker series. It's
Mhm.
and then since it is in one in each county, you really, people there. You're friends with most of them there. You've connected before, so it really is. It's a time for these the community people members to get together another time and have that networking. And then it is also very nice because last year we did get people who say they lived in one county but they worked in another, so they came to a few
Right.
of the speaker events. Since we're, even though it's a little distance apart, it's still drivable for that morning time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, I'm interested, and I know you're on the marketing and event side, but I feel like sometimes, or oftentimes, these events in when you're opening up to a nomination cycle, and you're really kind of digging deep into the community, it brings up different stories and like a fresh perspective on some of the news gathering that goes on in those local communities. Do you feel like you're sort of broadening your audience base, or like is there a net effect on your audience or your storytelling?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So I know a lot of these the nominees for Women to Watch, even if we weren't able to profile them, as we were brainstorming stories for say our Shore magazine or even our wedding magazine, these names would come to mind and what they have in the community. And so I know that there were a couple of connections that, oh yeah, even though they weren't profiled, we're gonna reach out to them and do a story on them in our another magazine. Or I know that one in particular, Amanda Kidd, she is really big into Dorchester County and the food down there. So she's, a big person in the farmers market community and does a lot with local kitchens. And so
Hmm.
she's she has not only been on our summer speaker series for Dorchester County, but she was highlighted in the Star Democrat and Dorchester Star, and then she's also on our advisory board that we have for the Star Democrat. So,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So because of that nomination, it's just knowing about these people and what they do. And so once we once we know, then it's like, oh wow, so many people have so much to offer. So this is
Mhm.
such a great way to learn more about them.
It's sort of like diversifying your source list in some ways.
Yeah.
It really is a reflection of the community that you're, you know, kind of highlighting these unsung heroes, and these women who don't traditionally receive all the
Right.
recognition. So now tell me what's next. I mean, of course, Women to Watch Summer Speaker Series was your best move for 2023.
Right.
How is that program shaping up? It's you you
Yeah.
reference that you're in the midst of it, but what happens this year?
Right. So we're in the works for our summer speaker series 2024, and we want to add a mentor aspect to it. And so
Mm,
we are working with different nonprofits. Foundation of Hope is one of them, which is a Easton, Maryland based nonprofit who works with middle school age kids and gives them job training, career training, um, that type of thing. So they along Talbot mentors. There's other life coaches that we're working with to try to add in a mentor aspect to this year's speaker series. So I'm really excited about what that will bring and what that will mean for the attendee.
that's very exciting. And so it sounds like the way you'd like to incorporate mentoring is to bring much younger women. So not necessarily earlier in career women, but
Right. Well,
girls who are coming up.
I think that's a really good point there, and I feel like it can be all encompassing, and I really
Mhm.
want to foster some long developing relationships between the early in career women, but then As one of my coworkers was telling me earlier today, we really need to help that next generation of women as they come into the workforce and, and develop them and show them what's possible. And I really feel like the Women to Watch program is doing that.
Wonderful. Well, it sounds like it certainly was your best move in 2023, and I am eager to see what you do with it in 2024. And I just wanted to thank you so much for coming to talk to me
Oh,
today.
yeah. Thank you, Rebecca.
Um,
This was a lot of
this was a
fun.
lot of fun. We'll talk about something else soon. I feel like there's a lot going on. So
There's
thank
a
you.
lot for sure.
Thanks for listening to 5 Dubs with Rebecca Snyder. Please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review wherever you download your podcasts so that others can find us. What do you want to know about local journalism? Email me at rsnyder, SNYDER, @mddcpress.com. Interested in supporting our podcast and journalism? Please donate to our 501c3 Press Foundation. Find out more and see the full episode list and show notes at www.5-dubs.com.